Welcome back to the Deep Dive. For many of us, Labor Day weekend, well, it marks the unofficial end of summer.
Right. One last barbecue, maybe?
Exactly. Maybe snag some good deals. Definitely enjoy that long weekend. But if I asked you why we celebrate it beyond the grilling, what really comes to mind?
Probably not much for most people.
Okay, let's unpack this and go beyond the surface level.
Yeah, it's kind of striking when you realize how a holiday we mostly connect with, summer fun, has such deep roots, often overlooked roots, actually, in a really pivotal time for workers' rights in America.
Definitely.
So today, our mission is basically to peel back those layers, move beyond the modern stuff, and explore the foundational struggles that really shaped this holiday.
Right. And to do that, we've pulled together a pretty rich stack of sources for you, historical accounts, modern fact checks, the whole range.
The idea is to give you a shortcut, really, to being well-informed about this holiday that seems simple but isn't.
It's got a surprisingly complex story. So let's jump right into the very beginning. Something that really stood out in the research was that the first U.S. Labor Day, it wasn't some grand federal thing at all.
No, not even close.
It was a Tuesday, September 5th, 1882, right there in New York City, put together by a group called the Central Labor Union.
And to really get why they needed a day like that, you have to picture the conditions back then, the 19th century. It was brutal for workers.
Yeah. How so?
Well, imagine working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, relentless, no weekends, no holidays, often no breaks.
Oh, 12 hours, 7 days.
And for pay. Think about textile laborers pulling in maybe 75 cents a day. Barely enough to survive.
75 cents.
Yeah. And things like worker protections, safety rules, minimum wage, basically non-existent concepts. People were just ground down by the work, physically, mentally. Family suffered too.
So these weren't just minor complaints.
No, these grim realities were the tinder. They fueled the whole labor movement. There was this desperate need for change.
Right. And under those conditions, just organizing a public demonstration, that took immense courage, didn't it?
Absolutely. Huge risks involved. Losing your job was the least of it sometimes. Violence wasn't uncommon.
But our sources, they paint a really vivid picture of that first parade. Get this, 10,000 workers marched, sometimes with their families.
10,000, that's a statement.
Huge. They marched from City Hall all the way up to 42nd Street. Then they gathered at Wendell's Elm Park for a picnic, concert, speeches.
So it wasn't just a march, it was a whole community event.
Right. And they carried signs, bold slogans like 8 hours for a legal day's work.
The big demand.
And less hours and more pay. Very direct. Even the New York Times, which wasn't always sympathetic, called it pleasant and orderly.
That's interesting.
It really makes you pause, Think about the scale of it, the bravery of those people just demanding dignity and a fair shot when everything was stacked against them.
Yeah, it really puts things in perspective. And it highlights something important about history, too. Well, we often think history is just facts, right? Clear cut. But here, even the origin, like who came up with the idea for the holiday, it's actually debated.
Really? After all this time, there's still a question about who proposed it.
Yep. The first parade itself isn't disputed, but who gets the credit for suggesting it? That's a fascinating point of contention.
Okay, so lay it out for us. Who are the contenders?
Well, first, you've got Peter J. McGuire. He was a big deal. Co-founder of the American Federation of Labor, the AFL.
Right, I've heard that name.
Most sources, including the U.S. Department of Labor, traditionally give him the credit. The story goes he suggested a parade to publicly show the strength and esprit de corps.
That sense of unity and morale.
Exactly, of the trade and labor organizations. Plus, he founded the United Brotherhood of Carpenters, led strikes, really pushed the 8-hour workday onto the national stage. Strong candidate.
Okay, so Peter J. McGuire. Who's the other possibility?
The other name is Matthew McGuire. Note the spelling, M-A-G-U-I-R-E. He was a machinist from New Jersey.
Matthew McGuire.
Okay. And crucially, he was the secretary for the New York Central Labor Union in 1882.
Ah, the group that actually organized the first parade.
Precisely. He'd also led strikes in the 1870s, so he was a known advocate. And there's evidence, like an editorial in a Paterson, New Jersey newspaper, The Morning Call, that called Matthew McGuire the undisputed author of Labor Day after it became a national holiday.
Wow. So two McGuires, both involved, both with plausible claims. Why the confusion, or Why the potential overlooking of Matthew?
Well, this is where it gets political, and it really shows how historical stories can be shaped.
How so?
Historians suggest Matthew Maguire held, let's say, more radical political beliefs for the time. He was a member of the Socialist Labor Party.
Okay, and that was a problem.
Back then, yeah. Socialism, anarchism. These were deeply alarming ideas to the establishment and even parts of the public. Samuel Gompers, the head of the AFL and a friend of Peter J. Maguire, might have, well, wanted to distance the new Labor Day holiday from those radical connections.
To make it more mainstream, more acceptable.
That seems to be the theory. Gompers gave an interview in 1897 where he specifically credited Peter J. Maguire. Some think it was intentional, kind of sanitizing the holiday's origins for wider appeal.
Huh. So the historical narrative we get might depend on the politics of the time it was written.
It definitely seems that way sometimes. Even for something like a national holiday, it highlights how memory can be shaped.
So we've got the first parade, this founder debate, but the date itself, why September? So many other countries celebrate workers on May 1st, May Day. Was that just random?
Oh, not random at all. It was a very deliberate choice. And this is where it gets really interesting and kind of dark.
Okay.
It all goes back to a really pivotal and tragic event. The Haymarket Affair.
Ah, I've heard of that. Chicago, right?
Exactly. May 1st, 1886, 4 years after that first New York parade, there was a massive nationwide strike for the 8-hour day, and in Chicago, 35,000 workers walked out.
Huge demonstrations.
Yeah, mostly peaceful at first, but tensions grew. By May 3rd, there was a violent clash between laborers and police at the McCormick Rooper Works factory.
Things were escalating.
Right, and that led to a protest meeting the next day, May 4th, in Haymarket Square. And then someone, still unknown today, threw a bomb at the police.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Chaos erupted. Police fired back into the crowd. By the end, 7 police officers and at least 1 civilian were dead, many more injured. It was a disaster.
And that had major repercussions, I assume.
Huge. 8 anarchist leaders were arrested and convicted, even though most weren't even there when the bomb went off. It created this widespread fear and backlash against labor radicals, socialists, anarchists.
Okay, so Haymarket is May. How does that connect to Labor Day in September?
Well, internationally, the Second International Socialist Conference in 1889 chose May 1st as International Workers' Day, May Day specifically to commemorate Haymarket.
Ah, okay. So May Day became linked to this violent event and radical politics in the U.S. context.
Exactly. Now, fast forward a bit. President Grover Cleveland is in office. He's under pressure. He'd just brutally put down the Pullman strike, sent in federal troops against railway workers, more violence, huge outcry.
Right. He needed to do something to appease the labor movement.
He did. But he absolutely did not want to endorse May 1st with all its, quote, socialist and anarchist connotations as he saw them.
So he needed an alternative.
Precisely. So in 1894, under that political pressure, Cleveland signs Labor Day into law as a federal holiday. But he strategically chooses the first Monday in September.
Calling back to that earlier, less controversial New York parade tradition.
You got it. It was a way to give labor a holiday, calm things down, but keep it distinctly American and separate from the international, more radical May Day movement. A very clever political move, really.
Wow. A political rebranding of a workers' holiday. And it wasn't just the U.S. thinking this way.
Nope. Our neighbors to the north, Canada, they also celebrate Labor Day, spelled with a U, on the first Monday of September.
Same day.
Same day. Their Prime Minister, John Thompson, signed it into law in 1894, the exact same year as Cleveland. They were facing similar pressures from labor activists demanding things like a 9-hour workday.
So a parallel track up there.
Yeah. And these movements, they had real impact. Here in the U.S., the Adamson Act passed in 1916, September 3rd, actually, finally establishing the 8-hour day, at least for railroad workers initially. A huge step.
Took a while, but progress happened.
And some places were way ahead. Oregon actually made Labor Day a state holiday way back in 1887.
7 years before the federal government.
Yep. Shows how things often bubble up from the local level first.
Okay, so we've covered the serious origins, the struggle, the politics, the date. But like a lot of holidays, Labor Day picked up some lighter traditions too, right? Like the whole no white after Labor Day thing.
Ah, yes, the fashion rule. It's a classic.
Where did that even come from? Is there any reason to follow it?
Well, our sources say there's really no good reason to follow it anymore. It apparently comes from way back when the upper classes would return from their summer vacations around Labor Day.
End of the season.
Right, so they'd pack away their lightweight white summer clothes and switch to darker, heavier fabrics for fall and winter. It was more about signaling a seasonal shift in their social calendar than anything else.
Just a practical thing that became a kind of social marker?
Pretty much. A ritual that somehow got stuck to the date, even as the holiday's original meaning became less prominent for many.
And that shift in meaning is really something, isn't it? How a holiday born from intense struggle because, well, the last blast of summer.
It is striking how its purpose evolves, sometimes obscuring the original intent. It goes from this powerful call for workers' rights to more of a symbol of leisure.
Though the core ideas are still relevant, obviously.
Absolutely. And, you know, the original spirit isn't totally gone, that Labor Day parade. It still happens in New York City.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about 20 blocks north of where the very first one marched in 1882, a living link to the past.
That's great to hear.
But, you know, as it shifted towards leisure, it also took on some modern downsides. The holiday weekend is now one of the busiest for travel.
Oh, yeah, the traffic can be rough.
And sadly, statistically, it's also a more dangerous time to be on the road. Research from 2011 to 2015 showed an average of 308 fatal car accidents just over Labor Day weekend each year.
Wow, 308.
Yes.
That's sobering.
It is. It's a reminder, maybe, that while we enjoy the leisure the holiday represents, vigilance is still important, whether it's road safety today or workplace safety back then.
So, wrapping this up,
Mm-hmm.
What does it all mean for us today? We've gone from those, gritty 19th century factories to modern barbecues. We've uncovered the parades, the disputed founders, the politics, even fashion rules.
It's been quite a journey.
It really shows Labor Day has this rich, often hidden history that's still evolving.
Yeah, and if we zoom out, this whole deep dive kind of prompts us to think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How much of our modern lives, our weekends off, the 8-hour day basic safety standards we owe to these historical struggles that maybe we've forgotten or just take for granted?
That's a really powerful point.
So maybe this Labor Day, beyond the burgers and the sales, the question for you listening is, how do you acknowledge the contributions of labor, past and present? The efforts that allow us the freedoms and the leisure time we enjoy today.
Food for thought.
It's just a moment maybe to reflect on why recognizing labor still matters, even as work itself keeps changing so much in our world.